somebody's listening to this, they're hearing about you getting scammed. How does someone look for an engineer, producer that's trustworthy and that you can be confident they're gonna follow through on their word and deliver a good product? So what should they be looking for?
That is a great question. I would say if anyone is reaching out to you and pressuring you with some kind of time constraint, or like, hey, I'm doing this deal and it's only good for 3 days more, and you can just pay me now. Probably the best advice is when you find somebody that you want to work with, make sure you get a contract first thing. And it's hard in the Christian industry because you assume if you're working with Christian people, you assume everyone is going to have good character and good morals. But unfortunately, Christians are not perfect. And like there's wolves in sheep's clothing, and there's people who don't know what they're doing yet, which is not an excuse.
Kelsey, it's so nice to finally meet you.
I know. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Both
Wait,
of
have you
guys.
not talked to her like on? Okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
That's fun.
We've never met.
So, but at this point, we've done a couple songs and then your 15-song album. So 16. I feel like we know each other. 16, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Come on, David.
It's a lot. Sometimes I forget how many.
What did she pay you for, dude?
Yeah, well, we just wanted to jump in, give some context. Why don't you share about how you started as an artist and then kind of how you got here quickly?
Okay. It's a wild story. So I always tell it like I never wanted to release music. That's like the starting point. I never wanted anyone to know that I could write songs or sing, or I was just like basically in the closet with my music stuff. And writing for me was just a place of intimacy with the Lord. And in 2015, I wrote all the songs that are on my first EP. And after I wrote them, I knew the Lord was like telling me like, hey, I want you to like put these on the internet. And I did not want to. I was just like, I don't want anyone to know about this. I'm scared, you know? And so I put it off and kind of ignored that voice. Ignored the conviction for like 3-ish years, which is crazy. But in 2020, which I guess is 5 years from 2015, I wrote them like 2015 to 2018. And I had written some songs before that, but those were like, I don't know, my teenage phase of songwriting. So in 2020, I was just like, okay, Lord, I'm going to do this. Like it got to the point where I was having trouble sleeping because I was like, I know that I'm not doing the thing that the Lord has for me for my life. Like I know I'm avoiding it and running from it. I was a professional coffee person for over a decade. And I like have managed a couple coffee shops. And at the time I was running a coffee roastery, which was really cool. But yeah, I was just kind of like ignoring music and trying to like do something else. And in 2020, I was like, okay, Lord, I'll do it. Like, fine, I'll do it. And so I found somebody and like we produced my EP, and then rewind a little bit to 2019 is when I found John Mark Pantana. And at that time, I only knew of Young Oceans, Rivers and Robots, and did I know of anyone else? I don't think so, honestly. Oh, Allie Page.
Oh, yep.
Like, that's all I knew of, like, indie Christian. There wasn't a lot back then, though.
No.
So anyway, I found John Mark Pantana in 2019. And all my friends were like, Kelsey, like, this guy is like you. Like, because my friends had heard my songs and I'd played them locally. And so my friends at church would be like, he's like the guy version of you.
That's funny.
So yeah, just seeing him, seeing music like mine out in the world and being able to listen to it on Spotify, I think that emboldened me some, and just like, okay, like I can do this. I followed him on Instagram, and he would post about how he released his music and how the Lord basically, I think I might be getting this wrong, but when he told me how it happened, I think I remember something about he released his music and it got to this lady who ran a prison in Turkey. And
Wow.
She would like play it for the inmates, and they were all getting saved, healed, and delivered. And from that, I guess she messaged him, and then from that, it just like exploded. For him, it exploded, and like the algorithm picked him up because the testimonies just started flowing. So anyway, I had like seen him post about that, and in 2020, when I had finished producing with a friend my EP, I reached out to John Mark because we had the masters for my EP, and I was like, okay, I can just put these on the internet now and no one will ever know that I did it. And then I was like, okay, wait, that's not being obedient to the Lord. Like I have to actually figure out how to market this. And I didn't even know how to put music on the internet. Like, I didn't know what DistroKid was. I knew zero about the music industry. But yeah, I just messaged John Mark, and I was like, hey, I'm a huge fan. I'm about to put out my first EP. Do you have any marketing advice? Because I know you've posted about, putting up your own music. And his side of the story is the day before that, the Lord told him, like, I'm going to help, or you're going to help Christian people release music like you have, like independently without a label. And so when I messaged him, he said, the Lord said, help her and say yes to her. So we just became like instant friends. He asked me to send him my music, and I did, and he was like freaking out about it. And then, yeah, 2 weeks into that friendship, he just texted me one day or voice messaged me or something, and he was like, hey, Kelsey, I have an idea. What if I sang background vocals on your song Northern Lights, because it's my favorite of yours, and we put my name on your song, and we released that one first? And like he helped me set up my DistroKid login account. So it's just like I went from like hiding this thing to then my favorite Christian music artist putting me on blast, essentially. And when I released Northern Lights, he posted it on social media, and then everybody that I had listened to started following me and like reaching out. And yeah, it was just crazy. It was like, okay, God had this thing for me to do. I didn't do it for a long time. And then when I finally surrendered and gave him my yes, he was like, all right, I've got a plan already set up for you, and it's going to be fun and amazing. And yeah, it's been wild. The favor has been wild.
That's crazy. I didn't know any of that.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So you release that, and then how do you go from that to like, I'm going to continue to do this?
Well, I think the continuation was almost like by default, because I had the conviction for so long that it's what my purpose was in the Lord. Like, I just knew that he was calling me to do that with my life. And I released my EP in 2020, the end of 2020. And then I released Honey from the Rock in 2021 or 2023. I wrote it in 2021, I think. Anyway, yeah, I think I just knew like it was what I was supposed to do. I still worked a job until, honestly, I worked a job way longer than I should have. I honestly just like was having a hard time trusting the Lord. And so I was like, no, like I can just do music on the side. And the Lord ended up hooking me up with Songfinch. Do you guys know?
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a custom song website.
Yes.
And they hire out songwriters to write custom songs for their customers. And you get half the cut. So somewhere between 2021 and 2023, I started writing for Songfinch, and that kind of took off. So then I was like, I had days where I did like 10 songs in one day, like near Valentine's and Christmas. Just like writing so many custom songs. So the Lord basically like caused my music income to be enough for me, even when I was like working. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna quit being a barista and being a waitress. I was a waitress for a while. Yeah, and I just jumped in. He gave me like the assurance though. Like he prepared the way. So it wasn't necessarily a leap of faith. I think I could have taken a leap of faith a couple years prior and it would have turned out great as well. Like I think that's what he was calling me to do, but I've just had so much timidity in the past. I'm trying to get better about that. So with Honey from the Rock, when that came out, and the Lord was like, I want you to make a whole album like this, you know, same. I'm slowly getting quicker to obey him.
I'd like to even highlight the fact that even though you feel like there was a delay of 3 years of obedience, that didn't mean that God's plan for your life had expired or that you had missed an opportunity, but that his grace was so sufficient for you that even though you waited 3 years, he was still there waiting for you. I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. It's very much like, I don't think he was looking down, like disappointed in me. Yeah. I think along the journey, it was him who was like emboldening me and inspiring me to step out of fear, to step into my identity, to step into my purpose. And he's still helping me. I'm still working through like, oh gosh, you know, this is big. Like I'm putting out a 16-song album and I live in a town with 1,000 people in it in Missouri. Yeah. It's awesome. But yeah, he's good.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to ask you, so coming up to this album, you had a lot of unfortunate setbacks. I feel like that would be really good for people that follow us just to hear what happened. You can go whatever details you want. And then how do you walk through that?
Ooh, I didn't prepare a box of tissues. I cry really easily, so if you ask me to talk about the hard parts.
You don't have to go into extreme detail, but
yeah. Well, I've been processing it a lot because I released Dissonance last night at midnight.
It's a great song.
Thank you.
I listened to it. It's really awesome.
Wait, actually, let me grab some tissues. I'm not going to cry a lot, maybe.
No worries. How often would you say you cry?
Once 5 years. If
Oh.
that.
I was hoping you would say like once a month.
No.
What about you, Kamo?
No.
What's your...
He cries.
It's legitimately probably at least once a week.
Me too.
That's me lowballing.
Me too. We have a similar cry frequency. Oh boy. Yeah, it has been a wildly painful ride in my life. yeah, I've been trying to type out like a post for dissonance to like explain, and every time I type it out I'm just like, this is so much, like I don't even know how the reader is gonna follow all of this because it's like so many bad things have happened. But yeah, I mean 2024 was like, I call it the bad part of Job for me. First of all, I had like major health issues. I didn't have cancer, but I had a weird condition that was like precancerous. And I've also dealt with chronic pain most of my life. But yeah, so I was like in and out of the hospital frequently, lots of trips to the ER, and also just like, I've never been financially super well off. I've pretty much always been below the poverty line. So when all that stuff was happening, it was like, okay, I don't have the money to not work and be in the ER. And like, even though my insurance is covering the ER, I'm losing income. And I lived in a super sketchy neighborhood with a roommate in Springfield, Missouri. And we would have like shootings on our street, people fighting, like drive-by stuff. It was crazy. And I already have complex PTSD from childhood. And so like living up there, I wasn't sleeping, which was contributing majorly to my health issues getting worse and worse and worse. So in April, I think, of 2024, I decided to get a third job. I was working at the time with music, and then I was a homeschool teacher to two very sweet girls. And then I was like, okay, I'm getting a third job, and I'm gonna sign this lease to this South Side apartment. The building like locked down, and long story short, it was horrendous. Like, there was some kind of machinery in the building that was so loud. It was like a sub bass, you know, and like it shakes your chest if a car drives by. It was like that, but it was constant all the time, and it was so hard that like the pictures on the walls would be like and my dishes, like a thick heavy stack of plates in my cabinet, would be like so yeah, I couldn't sleep again, and I just found myself stuck in this lease that I really couldn't afford. My health got even worse, and I couldn't sleep in the apartment, and I also just, it was a really hurtful time because I went to a huge church, and I had been a member there for, or not like an official member, but I had like served on the worship team for like 6 years. I had great relationships with everyone there, and it was like most people were more well off. And when I was going through these things, I was just alone. And like, I probably reached out to like 50 families from April to July, telling them my situation, asking for help. And for whatever reason, the Lord did not provide through that body, which was like heartbreaking in and of itself. That was a trauma in 2024, and a wound. But I ended up meeting this music manager guy. But basically, this music manager guy, he was trying to like manage me as an artist. That was his end goal. But he had, heard about what was going on in my life. And he was like, oh, well, my family and I own this abandoned high school building that we turned into apartments in this random tiny town in Missouri, and you can go live there for free for as long as you need to.
Shut up.
So I was
amazing.
Oh my gosh, finally, like, deliverance, you know? And so I drove there with all my belongings without having ever been there. And I lived there for 4 months. And then, for a reason I still don't know, he just called me out of the blue one day and was like, hey, I need you to move out by November 15th. And it was like November 3rd or something. And he was like, I need you to move out because I've got a family in need that I'm like putting in that apartment. And it's a big building. There's like a lot of space. And so it was just like, what is that point? That point was like my lowest low of the entire year. Because for 4 months, I had been stable housing-wise and like living in an emotionally safe place, like in this new town where I wasn't near all the church people who had let me down. I wasn't near my family who has, hurt me before. For those of you who don't know, and you two don't know this about me either, but I am a childhood abuse and neglect survivor. I say that lightly, but it really was not light. And so I don't have a relationship with either of my parents. So yeah, I really needed the church community to be there for me. And I got super, super let down twice in 1 year. My best friends and my mentor, her name's Becky. Becky and Felix and Gwen helped me out. I was sleeping on their couch until I moved to this tiny town. But they have toddlers, and like Becky lived in the same sketchy neighborhood I did. So it was just like, okay, this isn't working. So yeah, I moved to the tiny town. That was the first time I'd ever felt physically or emotionally safe in the place I was living, like in my life. And yeah, so it was like pretty earth-shattering because that family was basically like, you're helping us by being in the building, and I cleaned the building for my rent, and yeah, and then they were like, a family is moving into your apartment, and then like 2 weeks later they had friends come and visit there for 2 weeks, but then they left. So yeah, it was like everything was being ripped out from under me. My health was still very bad. I also got scammed by the producer of Honey from the Rock. And so I was missing thousands of dollars, and my goal was to live there for a year and save up, like get my health back in order, save up the money that had been stolen from me, and then get to, working on the album. But God had far beyond what I could ask, hope, or imagine ready for me. So I moved out on November 15th, and then like days after that, I think November 15th was a Wednesday, if I remember correctly. I think it was the Sunday after that, maybe the next Sunday. I went to this house church that I don't go to anymore. But this prosperity gospel preacher came one Sunday, and he was like, the Lord has sent me here from Branson, Missouri to tell you guys how to get what you want for Christmas. For yourselves, for Christmas presents.
Oh, wow.
And he had this formula of like, demons, I command you in the name of Jesus to loosen my money And angels, I command you to go get my money and bring it to me in the heavenly realm.
That's how you make a lot of money.
If anyone was looking for the formula, there it is. But yeah, I was just like kind of furious the whole time inside. I was just like, oh my gosh, we could be like ending sex trafficking. We could be, all the things. And so when he had everybody stand up at the end of his sermon and like speak the prayer out, inside I was just like, Lord, I just want the money that was stolen from me. And like the pastor had said, get an amount in your head and like ask God for that. But I was just like, I just want that, because if I had that, I could finish my album. And if my album was finished, I could be okay. I could be okay. And like my purpose could happen. And that amount was $2,125 at the time. I had more stolen from me after that. But so I got that amount in my head and I did the formula. And 3 days later, I got a random message on Instagram from an account with 0 followers that was following 0 people. And the message was really nice. And it was this guy and he was like, hi, we love the Lord. And my wife and I found your music on Sunday morning, and I just feel led to give you a large sum of money to support your music. And I was at first like, this is scam, because I get weird messages.
Yeah.
I get weird messages. We all get weird messages. But this little voice of hope inside of me was like, I think this might be the Lord. Like, I think this might be the Lord coming through for me. And lo and behold, it was. It was the Lord, and it was real. And this guy ended up wiring me a large sum of money. And I think either that same day or like a day after that, I think it was the day he wired me the money. A young producer DM'd me on Instagram, and he was like, hey, I love your music. If you ever want production stuff, like, I'd be down. And I went to his Spotify, and I just like felt like, I think God just sent me like that person. Because I was out money and a producer for the project. And for this project, it's something really special, and I knew that it was gonna be geared toward Gen Z and the younger generation, and I really felt like I wanted someone in their early 20s to produce the project. Like, that just felt like important. That fresh, like, sound, vibe, creativity. So yeah, then all of a sudden I had like more money than I asked God for. And a producer, and yeah, we just got started on the album, worked on over Zoom. Yeah, it's been crazy seeing God take that, bad part of Job and turn it into good part of Job. Like, I've never had that much money in my bank account ever. And it was just like, wow, like, enough to complete the project and, get by while I'm waiting for my streams to increase. And my health has gotten better too in the last few months. It's still not the best, but yeah.
That's crazy. Now, you said you were scammed, but then you got scammed even more?
Yep. I did.
Happens.
Now,
Okay.
the first scam was what I just told you about, but the second scam was, drum roll, Maxwell Gaver.
Oh, I've heard this name. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's been a whole thing. I was scammed by Maxwell as well. I reached out to him after the other producer took my money and was like, he basically blackmailed me and was like, I'm not working anymore on the project until you give me more money.
Oh yeah.
And he hadn't done any work. It was yeah. So then I reached out to Max. Well, actually Maxwell reached out to me, but that was a whole journey. That was a highlight of not getting scammed, but a highlight of 2024. Or I guess that was in 2025. Was I posted about like warning people about, I got scammed by, and I put his name. And like over 60 people messaged me, and I ended up like starting this support group. We're still going, like we're still finding out more people pretty much every day that this person is scamming. It's a lot of money, like the total so far, and I don't know what's gonna happen with that, but this dude is in deep.
That's absolutely insane.
So I don't feel weird, saying that on the podcast, because it's like very public information at this point. So yeah. if you're listening to this and you make music.
So I was even going to ask, so moving forward, somebody's listening to this, they're hearing about you getting scammed. How does someone look for a producer that's or anyone in that industry, engineer, producer, that's trustworthy and that you can be confident they're going to follow through on their word and deliver a good product? So what should they be looking for?
That is a great question. I would say if anyone is reaching out to you and pressuring you with some kind of time constraint, or like, hey, I'm doing this deal and it's only good for 3 days more, and you can just pay me now. Or, if anybody, I would say probably the best advice is when you find somebody that you want to work with, make sure you get a contract first thing. And both parties need to sign it. You need to agree on your terms and be like, this is our... Because there's lots of different ways to do the deal. Like, you can pay a producer all up front, but you need to make sure that you have it in writing that he owes you deliverables.
Right.
By a certain date.
Yeah.
Or else he can just walk away with your money, which is what happened with me. And it's hard in the Christian industry because you assume that if you're working with Christian people, you assume everyone is going to have good character and good morals. Like if you're working with a Christian producer, you assume, oh, this guy loves the Lord, or this gal loves the Lord. They're definitely going to like come through on their promises. But unfortunately, Christians are not perfect. And like there's wolves in sheep's clothing. And there's people who don't know what they're doing yet, which is not an excuse. But I've definitely learned the hard way, like, make sure that you have a contract and make sure, it states how much money you're paying for the song. Are you paying partially up front? Who's getting royalties? Who's getting songwriting credits? Because actually, I don't know if you should put this in the podcast, but maybe. The producer that I made this record with, he was like, hey, my friend wants to drum on your album. And I was like, oh, how much does he charge? And he was basically like, I really think live drums would be cool on this and this and this. And I was like, absolutely. How much will it be? And he was like, oh, he'll do it for free. He just wants to like drum on it. And I was like, that's amazing. And so then we did the songs, and then they both were like, so he's going to get songwriting credit, right?
Ooh.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? No, no. I wrote the songs. You drummed on the songs. Like, thank you for drumming on the songs. But, you know, so also like.
Now, so can I ask a question?
Oh, yes.
Did that mean he just wanted his name to show up on the credits, or he wanted money, royalties?
He wanted songwriting credits, which like in the industry, for those of you who don't know, there's credits. So like songwriting credits, if somebody has like this, or points.
Right.
Sorry, I'm new. Word. I'm new here. I don't know. Points. Yeah, he wanted like songwriting points, like, which would, you know, he would get like a percentage.
Sure.
So
that's wild.
Yeah, which I put his name on, you know, as the drummer. I guess I'm outing him. Thank you for drumming on my album. But I think another thing to be wary of is like love bombing. Love bombing is when somebody is trying to get something from you, so they make it seem like they're all for you. And like the manager guy that was trying to get me, he was like, I'll help you for free. I'll help you for free until it doesn't make sense for me to work for you for free anymore. And like that was his selling point. Like his selling, you know, which that is a sales tactic, but just be wary of like people making grandiose promises, because they might be trying to like get their claws into whatever you're doing. And those offers come about more as you gain more fame and notoriety. Like,
sure.
Once I hit, you know, 200,000 monthly listeners, I get emails like every other day of somebody that's like, I want to sign you, or I want to manage you, or I want to this, and this. And I'm just like, whoa, like, first of all, I don't know you. Yeah, so you got to be careful. Even in the Christian world, which is like, that's the saddest part for me, is I want to trust people. So, but trustworthy people aren't going to mind if there's healthy boundaries and contracts and great communication. Like,
that's a great way to say that.
They're going to be ecstatic about communicating. It's never fun to talk about the money part. Like, even if it's a you know, you guys know, like, even if it's like a best friend you're collaborating with, it's always like weird. But like, if it's a healthy person and a person worth trusting, those conversations are going to be something they're going to put effort into, and respect your boundaries, and also state clearly their boundaries.
Yeah,
for sure.
And we've always operated like, we're just going to do really good on our end and hope that people want to keep hiring us.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like getting rehired is the ultimate sign that you actually took care of this client.
Yep.
All the way through the end of the project.
Yep. And yeah, I mean, David, you know, shout out to David on this podcast. Like, he has been phenomenal to work with, has provided like excellent work, to the end. And that's not something a lot of people do. Like, I feel like work ethic and like honoring other people, and sticking to your promises, doing the best you can. Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. It's just like, be Christ-like.
It's wild that that's rare.
Yeah.
Especially in the music industry.
Yes.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I hope that it's changing. And I think, honestly, like, that's why I said it was a highlight of the year or year and a half for me, was the whole Maxwell thing, because so many people came forward but now there's so much more awareness of, you know, I mean, now it's like over, I don't want to say like over 100 or 150 people, and they just keep coming in. But yeah, I hope it gets better.
Yeah.
That's actually insane to me that exists. that many people.
He's still going. Yeah. He's still going.
I'm sure.
Yeah, he told us all, like, we were in the group chat for months just being like, guys, I had a heart-to-heart. Like, he called me and had a heart-to-heart and said, like, he was crying and said, like, God has convicted him and he is changing his life. And he's actually, like, stepping away from music and blah, blah, blah. Like, and then someone else in the group would be like, yeah, this girl said Maxwell reached out to her yesterday and like stole money from her. So, it's still happening. It's sad.
Yeah.
And I have like compassion for that person because I don't know what is making him do that, like make those bad choices, but he's gotten so deep in now that unfortunately like the law is gonna be coming for him at some point. It's inevitable. Like, he's got stuff in multiple states, which makes it a federal thing. You know, it's not, like, it's a sad rabbit hole to go down when you cheat people. And I think both of the producers I tried to make Honey from the Rock the album with, like, they didn't take it all the way to the end.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say was I think the benefit to you talking about this is even however many people watch this, you're preventing dozens of scams at least that would have otherwise happened. And so people need to realize the only reason contracts exist is because things like this do happen. They have happened. And so I would imagine that at least this was the case for me when I was an artist, like first starting. I didn't realize it's so important to have a contract. You just kind of think, oh, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then people like yourself, they get to a level of notoriety still thinking it didn't matter, and then they get scammed. And so I think it's really helpful for people to hear case studies like yours where they can recognize contracts are meant to protect everyone involved in scenarios like this. They're meant to protect the artists. They're also, in our case, meant to protect us because, believe it or not, artists are capable of scamming people too.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's just really valuable. So thank you for sharing your experience. I think it's helpful to people that listen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. To change gears a little bit, I really wanted to talk about your album.
Okay.
That's coming out.
That sounds great.
So one of my questions was, where does your inspiration come from? Because I feel like your music, all your songs can be a little different. There is kind of a thread. Like, where do you get your inspiration?
Musically or lyrically or genre-wise?
All of it.
Well, I even think of Dissonance. That's so interesting because like we were talking about earlier, like it has like a Billie Eilish vibe to it, but it's also got like an R&B like groove. And Billie Eilish is not doing R&B. Sure.
But it's also nothing like Summertime.
Right.
You know?
Well, honestly, I think I just love music. And I don't know. I don't know. I feel like... I mean,
you had some like chromaticism in there, some like different chord progressions. Like one of the songs felt like it was in a mode, like
with your what?
You know, like modal music, like a shifted scale.
I don't know actually. So I don't know music. I don't know music theory, and when I write, I can hear the chord in my head, but I don't know what it is. And I'm not a great musician, like guitar player or piano player. So I'll usually find a friend and I'll be like, what is this? Da, 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 or whatever, you know, and I'll like say the notes.
That sounded like Hunger Games. Da, 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 da. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, inspiration for me comes from so many places. It's like a house that's built with so many bricks that just keep adding on to each other. Like, I feel like my music taste journey has been so varied throughout my life. Like, I grew up in a super sheltered Christian environment, and so I only listened to like Southern gospel music. And my grandpa loved bluegrass, and we listened to like the Christian radio, so it was a lot of like CCM. And then as a teenager, I got into like, I think one of the first bands that was like secular that I really got into was Death Cab for Cutie.
Yep.
Nice.
And like Coldplay. What are they called? They're not called Phoenix. No, they are called Phoenix. Wow, that was a long time ago. I started getting into like indie music through working in coffee shops, and like all the weird indie music that would play. I was like, this is so interesting. I love things that are complex. So I love things with many different layers, and I think that's why I like weird chords and weird chord progressions, and yeah, and lyrically too. Like, I love the Bible. The Bible is very complex.
Yeah.
Suffering, joy and suffering, which is the theme of Honey from the Rock, the album, that is a complex topic. And my life has been complex, and so I think all of those complexities kind of come together and things bleed into each other. I also don't like, I think I have an advantage because I wasn't trying to do this as a job. I'm just making what comes out of me. Like, I'm just giving life to the music that is already in here. And so I'm not forced to stick to one genre. So I think, like, you know, if I want this song to sound this way or this song to sound this way, it just kind of, I can do that because I'm not like put in a box. I'm not focusing on trying to be something that I'm not, or like, yeah, I'm just kind of like, well, this is the song. And that was a struggle. That was honestly a large part of the reason why it took me so long to get from the release of Honey from the Rock, the song, to now having the album finished and coming out in 2 weeks, is that when the Lord told me to make it a full album, like Honey from the Rock, I genuinely thought he meant like the genre. And then I was like trying to write songs like Honey from the Rock, and I just like hated all of them. I was like, I feel like I'm just like copying myself, and it felt weird. And I think that's a thing that a lot of artists do. Once you see some success, then you're like, oh gosh, I have to replicate that every time I make music now, or top it, or else I'm gonna lose relevance and ruin everything. You know, like looking at success as this like scarce thing versus just flowing. That sounded dumb, but yeah.
No, it makes sense.
Just flowing.
Yeah,
I just make music that I like. And I'm also, unfortunately, a perfectionist a little bit. I'm trying to get better about that, but like, I don't know. Once I hear something, I want it to sound that way, and it takes a lot of time to figure out the sounds. Like, even song by song on the album. That's why, like, Dissonance, you're like, it's Billie Eilish, but like R&B. And that is because I don't like to copy something. I like to be unique. And I don't know. It just, I don't know. Sometimes, like, people ask me for songwriting advice, and I'm like, I don't know, because it just comes out. Like, not always, but most of the time, it's just there.
When most people are writing, they're not conscious of the steps they're taking. They're just doing. So I understand why it's hard to kind of recount the steps you took.
Yeah.
It's not something you're thinking about. Yeah.
And same thing with inspiration. It's like, I don't know, but like it's an amalgamation of everything I love and everything I've learned and everything I've ever been inspired by. That's what's driving each new song that I make.
Yep. Yeah, you have some fun themes. I'm thinking of No Voodoo. Like, it's just an interesting song claiming like what you believe, but also just even the way you say no voodoo and then you add the ooh makes me feel like that's something someone into voodoo would say. It's just very fun.
Thank you. That one almost didn't go on the record because I actually had two of my good Christian friends who I love and they love me.
Yeah.
Two of my friends were like, I don't know, Kelsey, like that one's like, I don't know why you would release that. Because, like, you've never struggled with witchcraft, and, like, that might come across as, like, hating on another culture. And, but I talked it over with both of those people, and, yeah, that song, honestly, do you want me to talk about that song?
You can talk about whatever you want. Yeah.
Okay. So, that song came about, there's this, I grew up in Springfield, like, I lived in Springfield for 10-ish years, and there's this nature trail there, Springfield Nature Center, and that's like my place. Like me and the Lord, I would just like go walk, and I don't know, I would encounter Jesus just walking, like with no phone. I would like ask him a question, and then a butterfly would fly in front of me as he was like speaking to me. It was like that. It was like fairy tale, you know. Not all the time, but this particular day it was, and I came around this corner where there's this stream and there's like a bench, and I was gonna go sit on the bench and just like contemplate life. So I turned the corner and there's this lady like in a yoga pose with her eyes closed, and I was like, oh, that's odd. Like, okay, I didn't ever see anybody on that bench, so it was like, this is random. And she opened her eyes as I passed her, and I was like, isn't it so peaceful? Like, I was having a great day and butterflies were flying around. And she just got this super sad, discouraged look on her face. And she was like, yeah, I'm trying to get back to my Zen. And I, like, said, like, have a good day. And, like, walked on. And I just walked a few feet from her. And I just was like, man, the lyrics for verse 1 just started. It just, like, the melody, too. Like, you are my Zen, you are my number, you're my sign. 'Cause the whole universe was made by your design. There is no stream of... It was, like, those first, like, 4 lines, or verse 1, that just kind of came. And I was just, like, overwhelmed with gratitude that I didn't have to, you know, go somewhere to access peace. He's with me. Which, life is not all sunshine and roses. And that particular day was very happy. And not every day with Jesus is like that, which is what my whole album is about. But, like, I was just like, man, like, even in my sorrow, I could be in the least peaceful place in the world, and Jesus could still come encounter me with peace versus me, like, trying to find some formula to obtain a peaceful state. And that's, like, kind of the heart that, you know. But those first, like, 4 lines, verse 1 came to me. And then I was, like, maybe a fourth of the way into the trail, and it took me about an hour to walk the whole thing. So I had like 3/4 to go. So I remember I was like running to go back to my car because I didn't have my phone and I didn't want to forget.
Yeah.
And I got in my car and I was like sweating and I recorded it, and then I just wrote the rest of it like right there in my car.
Yeah. No, I feel like you're reclaiming what other people are looking for. You're not claiming
absolutely
that what they believe is true.
Oh, no.
But I think if someone didn't know your relationship with Jesus, they might think that. But that's the point of art. It's You're supposed to sit there and think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, what is she actually trying to say?
Mm-hmm. I think about, like 3 years ago, I started going to therapy. Like I have a LPC, but she's a Christian. And I started getting into mental health and all those things. And it's been beautiful and super helpful. I have learned a lot. But one of the main things that's helped me is it's called the let them theory. It's like, if somebody misjudges you, like, let them. Which, as an artist, is, like, so powerful and freeing because, obviously, we want to, like, be sensitive to other people. But you're not, like, if you go by that, you're not always trying to be understood. Does that make sense? So, like, with this song, I was like, people might think that I'm hating on or judging other people. But that's not the heart I wrote this out of. And ultimately, I just was like, I felt really strong like it was supposed to be on the record. My best friends have 2 kids and their 4-year-old boy. When I played it for the whole family, he, like, every day since then has been like, no voodoo, no voodoo. Like, he wants to listen to the voice memo. And it didn't even have music to it. It was just me, like, singing a cappella. But I was just like, this is a message that people need. Also, like, I have a huge amount of empathy and compassion for people groups, like people that are doing witchcraft and not able to sleep because demons are tormenting them. Like, I want them to hear this and be like, dang, like, I want that. I want Jesus. I don't want to have to do these crazy, jump through these crazy hoops to get a moment of relief. So yeah, I've seen a lot of, in Springfield. Springfield is a college town and there's like 5 or 6 universities. And so all throughout my 20s, I was like surrounded by a lot of people my age. And a lot of the colleges there are Christian colleges. But a lot of people deconstructed. And a lot of the people that I know ended up, like, people I lived with in Christian ministry, like student ministry housing in college, started, like, posting in broad daylight with, like, candles and a dead bird in a jar and, like, frog legs and stuff, like, pictures on their social media of, like, we're doing witchy stuff. Like, that's becoming trendy. And I have a heart for that. I'm like, that is the road to torment. And I'm glad I don't have to go down it. Like, I'm lucky because I already, like, I already found him. And, like, he already found me. But a lot of people don't know him yet. And so I have a lot of compassion for people like that. And also, like, I was honestly like, this is the perfect bop for someone who's come out of New Age spirituality and they now follow Jesus. Like, this is a victory song. Like, I don't need my old life. I am free. I have Jesus.
Yeah.
And then in the context of the album, it's like, well, life is still really hard with Jesus.
Yeah, there's ups and downs. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the album's awesome. I'm really excited. When does it come out?
It comes out August 29th.
August 29th. Awesome.
Friday,
2
August 29th.
weeks from today.
2 weeks from today.
Awesome. Well, as we close, if you could say anything to a young songwriter, a new songwriter, someone who wants their music out there, what would you say?
Put it out. I would say put it
Nice.
out. Don't wait. Don't procrastinate. Like, don't let fear and insecurity hold you back. Yeah. And just, like, seek wholeness and healing in your own life. Honestly, like, the healing that I've gone through with mental health and, like, therapy skyrocketed my productivity as an artist. Because a lot of my not going for it was, from insecurity and or fear or whatever. So yes, go for it. Take care of yourself. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kelsey.
Thank you guys.
This is fun.
Thank you.